Dot, 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 dot. Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark, and I am so pumped to be here today for lots of reasons. We could share that some other day. I'm just excited to be here with you. We got a good show for you today. We're going to be covering how to raise your energy level. Do you know how to raise your energy level, and do you know why you should raise your energy level? We're going to be covering that today. How to raise 5 ways to raise your energy level. We're also going to be covering the 3 types of energy that you have. And we got to be covering this because I look around and I see a major issue with it. But before we cover any of that, you know we've got other news. We're going to be talking how to buy real property, not digital property, though you should probably be doing that. We're going to be covering how to buy real property with digital money. And then we're going to be talking about a home printed in 3D that costs 15% less per square foot, which could be huge savings. But before any of that, you know we're covering morning cup of gratitude. Grab your cup of gratitude. Grab your cup of coffee. Grab your cup of tea. And if you're driving to work, thinking back this morning, me, morning cup of gratitude, warm cup of Joe this morning, and share with me what you're grateful for. I want to hear what you're grateful for, and I want to see in the comments what you're grateful for. Stat, son, because if you can't express what you're grateful for, why are you even freaking doing it? Let's start, and you're going to share. Here we go. I am super grateful for a vision for the new year. I'm getting massive clarity on what we're doing with the Spark Sites company as of like late last night and this morning, just thinking through stuff. So we're going to be doing that this year. I'm super grateful for what's going on with Spark Billing Solutions. I'm super grateful for our community, which is coming up with new ideas and thoughts and creative solutions to problems that people are experiencing left and right. I'm grateful for these things and so much more. All the new subscribers, all the new viewers, all the new patron members. Good morning, Yagya. I hope you're doing fantastic this morning. And then a lot of my YouTubers know me for the crypto universe. That's not what we're talking about this morning, but feel free to ask your questions or follow and subscribe. We're talking about how to raise your energy levels. Now, before that, let's talk about 2 pieces of quick other news that make you smarter so that you're not just getting sucked into what other people are thinking and talking about. Let's talk about it. Boom, 3D printed homes for Habitat for Humanity. I got a link for you here. Boom, there we go. 3D printed homes, Habitat for Humanity. Actually, I'll have the link in just a quick second. But this is powerful because Habitat for Humanity builds homes for people, and they only have to pay for the cost of the home. They don't charge profit. It's a nonprofit organization that helps people. As you and I know, home prices are going through the flippin' roof. In fact, home prices and rent rates are increasing way faster than workers' incomes, at least in a lot of areas. Well, a mother in the state of Virginia by the name of April Springfield, was able to get her home. Now, mind you, when you 3D print a home with 3D concrete, you're able to build that home in about 28 hours, which is what this took. This typically instead takes about 4 weeks. Now, Habitat for Humanity, the other reason I really dig them is not only do they try to help people with affordable housing, but they also are focused on multi-generational wealth, which is why they don't charge a profit for the buildings. Now, they do require that the family help with the build. And if you've ever volunteered with Habitat for Humanity, as we did once, several times actually, and then once with my good friend James Joseph, in his ministry, we did that. It's really rewarding to help someone build a house, but also watch them work for that as well. And then they get access to this home that's very affordable. So this also, the technology of 3D printing reduces the home at 15% per square foot, which is huge, but it also reduces that labor hours. Remember, 28 hours instead of all that labor versus 4 weeks. That's insane. That's insane. That means you could turn that around in a weekend typically, which is huge. That means that they can bring more affordable housing to more people at a more affordable rate with donor dollars at a more rapid rate. Here's a link to the article if you care about that at all. Here, let me drop that in the comments over here as well. Boom. There we go. And check that out. I really encourage you to check that out. It's how people are using technology today to actually bring generational wealth and housing to people when it's getting really difficult. Let's talk about how to buy real property with crypto. So we've talked a lot about cryptocurrency. If you follow me at all, if you follow my YouTube, you know I talk a lot on YouTube about cryptocurrency. I don't talk so much on Facebook or TikTok about crypto, but in YouTube, I'm all about it. In our Discord, we talk about crypto quite a bit. And what we've mentioned, if you haven't picked up on this, is the sandbox and Decentraland are places where you can buy real estate. And often that real estate costs more than real estate in the real world. It's insane. But there's plenty of other projects out there where you can buy digital land basically and make good money as a realtor in the digital space. Now, they're bringing this into the real world and they're trying to solve for mortgages. A company by the name of Milo or Milo, maybe I'm saying it wrong. They're bringing the first cryptocurrency backed mortgage to people. 30-year low interest rates, and those interest rates can run anywhere from 3 to 5%. Let's drop this here. Boom. There you go. So you can kind of see that. Boom. You can buy real property with your Bitcoin. And what you do is this is 100% financed loan. So if you're used to buying real estate at all in America anyway, you got to pay 20% on a residential home, or if it's an investment home, you're usually paying 25% down. So if you're buying a $200,000 home, you got to come up with anywhere between 40 and 60, 40 and $50,000, 40 to $60,000 to buy that. Well, with these cryptocurrency backed loans, you wouldn't have to come up with any down payment. However, there's a caveat. Of course, there's a caveat. You can pledge or stake your Bitcoin to get this 30-year low interest mortgage. But the trick is, and this is the catch 22 with these things. I'm bullish and I'm down for all things DeFi as it comes to crypto, but this is sketchy. You have to put down the full amount in Bitcoin. So if it's $200,000 home, you have to put down $200,000 of Bitcoin. So who's got $200,000 of Bitcoin? Well, there is a very large market of people, crypto bros, crypto gals, who have actually been able to accrue a ton of money, but they don't know what to do with it. Because if they bring it into the US dollar system, they got to pay the IRS. So they're not really sure what to do, but it would be interesting if they could actually put that highly earned, high growth cryptocurrency into a fund. The catch is you have to put the full amount. And there's a bunch of other questions. For example, do the numbers really work? What is the opportunity cost? If you put the Bitcoin staked as a loan on the home, after 30 years, do you get the cryptocurrency back? Can you convert the loan to cash if Bitcoin is taking off and growing rapidly? Can you take your money out? What if Bitcoin is crashing? Do you have to put more money up? It's a lot of questions that have to be raised. But here's the thing I want you to hear. Progress is being made with using cryptocurrency in the real world. If you want to read just a little bit more about that, here we go. Hang on. There we go. Sorry, I just printed the link. There we go. There's the link to the article. You can check that out there. And that, my friends, is other news. Let's talk about the 5 ways to raise your energy level and 3 different types of energy you have. So why are we talking about energy at all? Why are we talking about the 5 ways to raise your energy level? What does it matter? And what the heck is energy? Isn't that just a little flaky? Well, back up. Last year, Marissa and I did our first multi-day hike together. I've done multi-day hikes in the past. Marissa, not like this. Marissa has, of course, done plenty of multi-day hikes. She's put in her miles at the Colorado Trail. She's put in her miles on the Florida Trail. She's put in her miles on the Appalachian Trail. And last summer, Marissa and I got our gear together and did our own couple hike. And it was difficult. If I could bring up some photos, you could just look at my Facebook and see I had some challenges on this hike. And about the middle of the first day, the middle of the second day, I was absolutely crashing. And I had a miserable experience, and Marissa finally put food in my belly and food in my face, and I realized I had a low energy day, and we fed me, and I got my head kind of back in sorts, but it was a difficult thing mentally on me. And I've thought about that a lot since, because Marissa and I, we generally get along very well. We partner on our businesses. We partner in life. We've got a good mojo. And I was wondering what was going on with this. And over the years, I've thought a lot about our differences in energy. We'll come back to that in a quick second. You see, I do a lot of coaching, and in my coaching and in my business, and it's a lot of small business coaching, but really it amounts to performance coaching. And in my performance coaching, I'm often asked, Grant, I've got all these tactics, but how do I improve my sales? In fact, they don't say it like that. They say it like this. They say, Grant, I've got all these tactics. How do I improve my sales? They've been wondering how to increase their sales over the years. And many successful people I meet, or many people I meet, they want to have more success working with others in general, whether it's a manager trying to get more out of their employees, whether it's someone launching a business and trying to get more out of their pitch, whether it's someone selling, whether it's someone doing any project that involves other people, volunteers on Habitat for Humanity. Quite often, they might even have tactics, but for some reason, it's not taken off. And that leads to an additional problem here. People are already struggling enough to work well with other people, but they also have an overabundance of tactics that should be working, but aren't. You could go out and find a guru anywhere. You could throw a rock in Lakeland, a small town, relatively speaking, and there's plenty of gurus. I even do sales training called the Unsales System. And I help with tactical sales. There are great tactics for sales, but people just are struggling as it is to get as effective as they want to with other people. And B, they have an overabundance of tactics, which they think the tactics don't work, whether it's for small business or for sales or for pitching their business idea or for managing or leading other people. They have an overabundance of tactics that seem to not be working. And take this even one step further. The challenge gets greater when we are discussing the challenges we have with other people. Let's say you have a spouse or a partner or an employee or a potential buyer, and you're discussing with them some of the challenges you're having. You feel a certain way, but as soon as you apply a word to it, as soon as you give it language, quite often other people who are also struggling will zero in on the language. You'll say, hey, I'm frustrated with how you manage our bookkeeping. You'll say, hey, I'm having a challenge with how you present yourself or your attitude. You say, hey, I am really struggling with the words you're using or the inflection or your introversion or your extroversion. And then the person hearing this critique will zero in on those words because they're feeling threatened, and they'll defend themselves, or they'll speak to, well, I'm an extrovert or I'm an introvert and this is how we do things. And then as they're talking, you're thinking, you're right, you do these things. So maybe I misspoke when I wrongly diagnosed that it was your introversion, your extroversion, your attitude, your temperament, your cadence. We gave it those words and the person latched onto those words. So already we're having trouble working with people. B, we have so many tactics that seem to not be working. And C, when we try to communicate this with other people, they zero in on it and they don't listen for the meaning. They just listen for the words. And then they nitpick that. And then the argument just escalates or derails and you don't get anywhere. How are we solving this? We're going to solve this right here and right now for you. So pay attention, tag a friend, tag a spouse that you've been discussing these things with. Tag a business partner who you've been discussing stuff with and can't explain yourself, because we're going to solve this right here and now. And how we're going to solve that is that you need to pay attention to, manage, and know how to raise your energy in order to raise your success in all of these areas. So what are the quick principles? What are the 5 kind of key principles? The 4 key principles of this thing. Well, number 1, talking about a person's energy in general has been seen as a little flaky. So over the years, and not so much today, but over the years, especially being an 80s and 90s kid in the Southeast, you talk about energy and suddenly people were like, whoop, Grant's getting flaky. And you go, no, I just mean like their energy levels. Are they lethargic or excitable? Okay, I get you. But if you talk about any other side of energy, they're like, oh, where's Grant going to bust out the crystals? And in all honesty, I probably should. But quite often that referred to just the hippies and the people that were not aligning with society and weirdos. But bear with me, that image has changed. Because I was thinking about this the other day and I realized that there are actually three types of energy you absolutely need to be paying attention to. When you're talking about someone or when you're thinking about an engagement you've had with someone else that has gone well or not so well, and when you look at that engagement, there's basically three categories of energy. And I know that if we were just to open up the Wikipedia article on energy, because I did, you'd find a whole variety of other types of energy. But think about this. If you are sitting with someone and they're fidgeting and not paying attention, that's a physical energy. Or if you're talking with someone and you're not really sure what's going on, but you're getting a weird vibe and they're breathing differently, like you're like, okay, did you just run here? Or if their posture is off or aggressive, these are a physical energy. It's physical. And it is a form of energy because it's known as kinetic energy or mechanical energy. If someone is in the middle of a conversation and they're leaning back with intensity, it's almost like a rubber band's about to snap. And you can sense that there is a kinetic energy. There's a stored energy that's about to be released, and that can be kind of threatening. So it wouldn't be abnormal to talk about someone in an engagement in regards to their energy, at least physiologically. That's the first type. The second type is mental energy. If you're in a conversation and you say, hey, I'd like to work through this, and that, and then the other person just throws out an idea that's out of left field or gets defensive, the ideas they're speaking out, the tone they use, the attitude behind the words, whether or not there's underlying meaning or inflection, and whether or not any of that matches the words they're using. Have you ever experienced someone use kind language, but their tone is very aggressive? Or vice versa, they use aggressive language, but they're speaking in a very kind tone. That feels very manipulative. When people go here, this is often a type of energy as well. You could critique all of that. Hey, your intonation, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what's going on. But then they often double down in that attitude. Let's pause and instead of use words about what they're saying, identify the fact that there's sound energy. This is the sound of what energy has a wavelength. And when someone speaks at a certain cadence, literally those wavelengths are hitting you at a certain cadence. Sometimes people don't watch the show at 6:30 in the morning with me because my sound energy is too intense before 7 a.m. for most people. Sometimes people love it because it gets them ramped up. Sometimes the people that are real stickers for the show and pay attention to the show, they check in because I ramp them up for the morning. That's a sound energy. It's hitting your earbuds, right? I generalize this as mental energy, but you could think of these as kinetic energy or sound energy. And then the first category is a physical energy. It could be mechanical, could be kinetic. The second energy is a mental energy. And I call it a mental energy because the words they say, the cadence with which they say them, this is all sourced from their actual paradigms. Or if they're being manipulative, meaning they're saying very aggressive, unkind things, but in a kind voice. Oh, bless your heart. That's all happening here. So I've categorized those as mental energy. And the third I categorize as unseen energy. Now listen, when you encounter someone, they often put off a vibe. And I don't think vibe is too sixth sense metaphysical necessarily. Oftentimes when you pick up a vibe or when you think you're gaining a sixth sense on someone, you are literally unconsciously processing physical and mental energy. You're unconsciously processing their unseen cues, their unspoken cues, their breathing patterns. You don't think about all this, but you have a very primitive lizard brain that's synthesizing all of this because your brain, your conscious, your neocortex can't synthesize the degree or the amount of inputs you're getting. So you're processing a lot of this in the unseen parts of your brain, and that's what we call a vibe quite often. But there's a third unseen energy here, and it's an actual real energy. It's your electromagnetic energy. Now, this is where people get really lost and weird when others talk about auras. I'm not talking about that. Maybe that's what people are talking about when they're talking about auras, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that it is math and science that when your heart beats, it beats with a frequency. And that frequency actually has been measured 12 to 14 feet outside of the human body. If you have a strong heartbeat, that heartbeat actually puts out a frequency, and every individual has their own vibration. You can look at this with Carillion photography. You can actually see people's wavelengths that extend far outside of their body. And if you're carrying a thought, because your heart and your stomach, there's more neurons in your heart and your stomach than there is in your brain. When that wavelength goes out, your thoughts are actually extending beyond your body. And so you're putting out an actual electromagnetic energy outside of your body. So we got physical energy, kinetic, mechanical. We got mental energy, the thoughts and words you use and the attitude with which you do them and the communication that you have. And then there's the unseen, the vibe itself. So these are the three areas of energy. But another principle you need to know is that often the challenges you have with other people are not in the words they say. They're not in what they're trying to get out of life. They're not in who they are. They're not in their temperament. Quite often, the challenges you have with other people are simply energetic. That other person could mean well, and it's just not matching you. But you think it's temperament. You think it's attitude. You think it's the fact that they're an introvert, it's the fact that they're an extrovert. And so you're putting up walls and they're putting up walls. But the truth is, your energies are just not matching. These are often mismatched energies. And oftentimes, when someone is feeling threatened to protect themselves, they will block off and lock up their own energy. They'll resist giving you energy, they'll resist receiving your energy. Now, think about when you were first dating. Energy was open, son. It was open season on energetic sharing. But over time, people have learned, especially in couples, but also in business partnerships and in sales relationships, people have realized if they open up too much, they might get sucked into your energy. And they might not want that energy. It's not that they don't like you necessarily. It's not that they don't want to talk about that sales deal or the opportunity you have. It's your energies are not matching. Think of all the Zoom meetings you've had. Oftentimes, these Zoom meetings start with niceties, and these niceties fall flat. You're supposed to use the opening and the niceties and the welcome of any networking event in any Zoom to begin to match up energies. That's the purpose. But if everyone comes in flat and dull and lame, you haven't elevated the conversation. You might as well be flat and dull and lame in the room alone. But you're not utilizing these opportunities to increase your energy. This is where people typically have conflicts, and then they start adding typical words to it that they're used to. They have thought loops on why the energy is low. So they'll just start applying words to it, and arguments are often around the words, very rarely around the energy. Hey, I want our energy elevated. Would you agree with that? Yeah, well, let's elevate. You can elevate our energy without solving problems. You can just choose to elevate your energy. And that's my fourth major principle about energy. You can control your energy without solving problems, because a better energy helps you solve the problems. Quite often, you allow your what we're calling energy, the physical, the mental, and the unseen energies, your heart rate, your breathing rate, your body posture, the thoughts in your brain. You're often subjecting that to an external fact. But the truth is my fourth principle is that you can control your energy. You don't have to lock up your energy and become a wall to other people in order to have your will in the world. You just need to raise your energy. Raising your energy enables you to file through, like if you're in a low energy state, and if you have the ability to raise or lower this thing we're calling your energy, you can actually be cycling through the whole spectrum of energy until you find where people are at. If you go into a sales meeting and someone's here, and you start here and you cycle through low energy. Hi, how's it going? Oh, okay. And you can cycle through all of this energy. You'll eventually find their energy level and sync up. And then you can pull them into higher energies. We know this from sales. And energies, hear me on this. I don't just mean dragging someone from introversion to extroversion. You got to hear me on that. I mean, you basically grab someone from closed offness to openness. Not to get your way, but to also hear their way and to come up with an actual solution. But as long as someone is closed off, you won't do any synergy. Now, you might just need to leave that relationship so that you can have your own energetic level. And maybe as you both open up, you won't create synergy. That's fine too. There's other people to synergize with. But the fourth principle is that you have full control, regardless of external circumstances, of your energetic levels, of how much vibe you bring. You could go into a business interview scared out of your mind and freaked out and not get the job. Or you could have conflict. You might not even want the job, but there's a reason you're exploring that job. And you could bring absolute positive energy to that job. And then once you get the offer, you can sort out whether or not it's right for you. But you can control the energy you bring to each and every situation. So real quick, here are the 5 ways you can raise your energy immediately. Number 1, food. Fasting actually can increase your energy. Now, we're not just talking about like, oh, I'm lethargic. I'm talking about mental energy. There's something with fasting, at least in my experience, when I have passed like the 16 to 18 hour mark, when I have fasted 16 to 18 hours, my thinking gets radically clear. I've gone crazy fast. I've done 28-day fasts. That's the longest I've gone without food and water only. I've also done a whole litany of like 14-day fasts and 3-day fasts. And it's been a while. And intermittent fasting's been a thing of late. But when I go past that 16 to 18 hour mark, I get absolutely energized. Now, that doesn't mean I get totally extroverted. In my case, it might mean that, but in your case, it doesn't necessarily mean that. But I get open. I listen more. I pay attention. And the game of exchanging energy with the person I'm talking with happens more fluidly. Also, choosing foods that increase your energy level. And by that, I'm really kind of talking about mental energy, your mental clarity. Eating keto diet in general can help because with most keto diets, really it's Atkins. You're starting to remove processed sugars. Processed sugars make your mental energy low because they make your gut energy low. Your gut, again, as we said, the heart and the gut have more neurons than the brain. And when you eat a lot of sugars, it's really messing with all of those neurons. And you can have indigestion, and that's all distracting to a higher mental energy and therefore a higher physical energy. Now, when you're on a fats diet and you're eating enough greens, your body's used to processing fats. And even when your food intake is low, then your body is already burning body fat. So you can just keep your energy levels going. So eating well and fasting both can really increase those mental energies. Now, the second way is exercise. Now, I don't just mean exercise and running, but exercise and running obviously do a lot. If you're lifting weights, great. Ryan Christ, he's always working outside. His energy levels are generally very high because the guy has so much outdoor time. Marissa, when she's hiking, has a very high energy level. No, she's not extroverted. She's just open. She's attentive. She's paying attention. She doesn't bump into things. She has a high energy level. But when she's not doing that, she's sluggish thinking and things are slow and it's difficult to do things when she's doing a lot of computer work. The thing that Marissa and Ryan have in common is that being outdoors. But that's not only how you use it. I know that when I'm about to go on stage, when I do public speaking, I'll do push-ups before I go on stage just to get the blood flowing. And I open up my body. Power stances are a huge one. We'll talk about that really quickly, but exercise, push-ups, jumping jacks, before you go onto a sales call, before you do a Zoom, step around away from the camera, do jumping jacks, push-ups, squats. If you can't do much else, just do body weight squats and get your breathing going because that physiology will hit your heart. Your heart will bring that unseen energy and you'll be more attentive and more focused in all the unspoken clues, the context clues that people are processing unconsciously. You'll have a higher energy and you'll be able to bring people into that energetic conversation, not just because you have regular exercise, which you should, but because you wield exercise just before important meetings or between appointments. The third one, I mentioned power stances. This is super stupid and silly, but it works. If you don't even have time for jumping jacks, push-ups, get up, stand up straight, and make yourself big. If you've been sitting at a computer hunched all day, working, and you're like, life sucks, I'm working at my computer. Listen, that's an advantage. You're just not taking the breaks you should be taking. Walk outside, get some fresh air, breathe deep, but do a power stance. And a power stance can be hands on hips, chest out, head high, extend your spine, stand up straight. Make yourself absolutely big. Stretch your arms out. Make yourself big. These power stances actually increase your endorphins. They increase your serotonin. They increase your oxytocin. And you'll suddenly have a higher energy. You hear that way I breathed just now? You'll have more oxygen in your lungs. And this whole thing that we're calling energy will be much higher. Number 4, meditation. Now, we've talked a lot about meditation. Go back into all the past lives, look at it, check it out. But meditation can significantly raise your energy level because it will make you aware of your thoughts. That's all I will say about number 4, meditation, because it leads to number 5, and that's your thinking. Meditation deserves its own bucket because it's important enough just to do 5 minutes in the morning. That is it. That will lead to you wanting to do it 5 minutes in the afternoon. That will lead to you wanting to do meditation all the time just in order to become aware of your thoughts. I'm not even talking about sorting it yet. That leads to number 5, which is your thinking. Controlling your thinking is the most important way to raise your energy. To move from a closed person to an open person. And how you do that is when you meditate, you start to notice your thoughts. When you notice your thoughts, you will begin to notice which thoughts bring you down. If you just sit and meditate and you think a negative thought, we could actually do this in a session. Go to the worst time of your life and show me your body posture for that thing. Go to the worst time in your life and tell me how your vocal inflection was. No, mimic the vocal inflection. Well, it was like this, and I just wanted to absolutely kill myself. How do you feel? How's your energy? Now, it doesn't solve issues with suicide or depression. But if in our session I had you raise your voice, tell me about the most exciting time in your life, and we were audio recording it, and I actually had no cues on your voice. If I just said, tell me about the most exciting time of your life, your voice would go from here to here. And you start telling me about the most exciting time in your life. And you might not say, no, I'm not suddenly not depressed. But I guarantee you'd have an elevation in your energy and your body posture, and everything would start adjusting because your thoughts went from that thing that brought you depression to that thing that brought you happy. And chicken or the egg, that we're dealing with mental energy. But are we not dealing with physical energy? If you don't even tell me about negative thoughts, I tell you, think of that negative thing, and you slump. Okay, now think of that negative thing, but put your shoulders back, sit up straight, raise your voice. Now tell me about that negative thing. Well, I don't feel negative about it so much. Okay. Physiology leads psychology 90% of the time. Hear that. Physiology leads psychology nearly 90% of the time. Guaranteed. But you can control your thoughts. The more you meditate, if you control your thoughts and notice your thoughts, you can then start to filter out which of these thoughts trigger me to have poor physiology, which of these thoughts trigger me to have poor psychology. And then you could start putting instead, and we have this thought of switching it up or inverting it. If you have a thought that causes you to feel negative, take that same thought but invert it and ask yourself not just hype, how could this be good for me? But you actually start picturing positive outcomes because of that thing. And you start thinking, man, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. And you start re-anchoring that to positive things. So number 1, food. Get your food right. Fasting is huge for mental energy and raising your energy levels, but it also helps you if you choose the right foods to raise that physiological and mental energy. Exercise, but actually not just daily exercise, but literally doing push-ups, jumping jacks, sit-ups between workouts is supremely important. Number 3, power stances. Just give it a try. It'll raise your energy level. If you're going into a sales dialogue or a tough conversation with a spouse, start opening yourself up. Start doing power stances, and not confrontational ones, but open ones. Then meditate. Notice your thoughts. Well, I'm thinking this, I'm petrified of that. And then once you notice your thoughts, then start controlling your thinking of how this is going to be good for everybody. Again, this is not about hype, and it's not about extroversion. It's about taking control of your energy levels and bringing a higher energy level to every important encounter, so that you can actually achieve more, sell more, and be happier. And guess what? If you do these, it won't even be about attainment. Quite often, a lot of you are anchored that you will only be happy upon certain attainment. Most of you are anchored that you will only be happy with certain outcomes. But if you can start to control your energy, you'll realize when I think I have to travel halfway around the world to Iceland just to be happy, I have to stay in that nice luxurious hotel just to be happy. These are good things, and I wish them for you. We did Iceland, and I love it, and I wish Iceland for you. We're dying to go to Scotland and hike and see that world out there. I'm dying to sit in a plaza in Switzerland with friends and family who I've traveled there with. I want these experiences. But what do I want out of them? I want happiness. Well, what is happiness? It's full control and agency of an elevated, raised energy level around beauty with great experiences. What is beauty? Light energy. What is that great coffee in a plaza in Switzerland? It's kinetic physiological energy. It's mental energy. I'm elevating my position. I can experience the benefits of all of this right now. So my point is this: in this pursuit of financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, it's really about mental freedom. And that is really about agency and personal freedom. And that comes and can come to you right now if you take control of your freedom. If you're choosing blocked off, even on things that are challenging in your life, if your solution is to block that thing energetically, you're failing. And that's why I often tell people, wherever you go, there you are. So let's travel halfway around the world. You'll be happy for a minute. But eventually you'll realize you have a habit of gating your positive energy, as opposed to building the habit of opening yourself up and chasing your dreams. And sometimes you do need to change your context. Absolutely. To break your thought patterns and to change your dream. But the only reason to do that is to bring that new habit into the mundane and to make the mundane, the low energy mundane, extraordinary for the average experience, for yourself and for the people around you. And why are we talking about any of this? And how does this translate to the mission? Well, I hope you go out there and get more sales today because of raising your energy. I hope you make better friends today because of raising your energy. I hope you just enjoy even your mundane experience a little bit more today just by being able to raise your energy. And this is what I mean when I tell you to remember the mission of igniting lives of explosive significance. It's raising your energy and helping other people raise theirs so that they get better outcomes right where they are, and therefore developing the habit of getting better outcomes in new situations and scary situations and new goals being obtained. A lot of you experience depression when you obtain goals. But how can you enjoy it more if you know how to raise your energy in every situation? It's the desired outcome, it's the goal, but it's also the means, and it's also the path. And that is what I wish for you today. Have a blessed day. Have a great day. If you like stuff like this, join the free Discord. Or if you want any more material like financial freedom, time freedom, mental freedom, crypto freedom, join the Patreon. You get a lot of free stuff there, including our crypto trades, but also everything we're doing in real estate, everything we're doing in crypto. But no matter what you do today, remember the mission: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.